Thank you so much for tuning into my channel. My name is Sarah. I want to talk to you about a few things that I did not know before moving into the mountains of here in Colombia. A few things that is very unique to living here in Colombia. When I moved here to this small town in August of 2021. I didn't actually think I was planning on staying here for this long. I thought I would kind of like, I don't know, travel around, but life happened. One of the first things that I've noticed about living here is our electricity will randomly go out, and especially if it is a thunderstorm. We have had our electricity go out for a whole weekend. Okay, I shouldn't say a whole weekend, maybe 18 hours. So our electricity has gone out for 18 hours. And then our internet has gone out for an entire 3 full days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, fixed on Monday. With that said, when it first happened, I was kind of like irritated because what am I gonna do? I need the internet, I work online, everything I do online, I talk to my family, and I was freaking out. So I was like, well, is there anything that we can do about this? And my boyfriend just laughed and he's like, this is Colombia. You live in a small town. This is very normal. I'm not sure if it happened in the city. The cities are different. However, for me, it definitely was an adjustment. So now our electricity still goes out, our internet still goes out, but I have learned to adjust to it and I don't freak out. Instead, I always have a book. I always have books downloaded and I always have like a charger. So if my phone dies, at least I can still listen to my books or read my books on my phone as well. And we always have a lot of candles and I have like a headlamp, so that's perfect. So knowing that, I have been more prepared and I have not been freaking out. And it has also taught me a lesson about, do we actually need, is it okay to go without? Is it okay not to have this like gratification, this instant gratification that we're so used to? We're just so used to having everything that we need now, and if it doesn't happen now, we call, we get angry, and we get frustrated. So living here has taught me to chill out a lot, and now I can tell you that barely anything bothers me now. So it has something to know, but also something that you can adjust to and get used to. I guess if you want to. I mean, you don't have to get used to it, you can move. That's the other option. So I didn't want to move, so I get used to it, and I actually kind of enjoy not always being connected. And when the electricity goes out, it's kind of fun to have a candle on, or it's kind of fun to do something different. I color, I write, I read. So yeah, there's ways to work around it. I work in my garden, I go for walks. I mean, the nature around here is just beautiful. The second thing to know, when I came to Colombia, I could understand and speak Spanish. Not fluent, I'm still not fluent. However, my level was not at a 0. The first time I came here in 2018, yes, my level was at a 0. But this time when I came, I could talk, I could get by, I could have basic conversations. Now my level has improved significantly, thank goodness, finally. But also living in a small town has helped that, because no one here speaks English, and you should not expect anyone here to speak English because you are a visitor in their country, you are a visitor in their small town, and when new people move in, everybody is going to know that you are the foreigner. So moving to a small town, you do need to understand that you have to have some basic learning level of whatever language that you are in, especially here in Colombia, and do not expect them to speak English, because that's not an expectation that we should have, because we are the visitors. I'm the visitor here. If someone's speaking to me, I at least have enough knowledge of the language to speak back. But if you do not, you can say I'm learning or speak slower, that's fine, just as long as you are willing to learn. But don't move to a small town and have zero desire to learn the language, because if you do that, you're gonna have a really hard time and they're not gonna learn your language. So either you kind of are expected, if you're living here, to be able to speak to them. Or you can use Google Translate. I mean, you don't have to speak the language, but your life is gonna be a lot easier and a lot more fun if at least you are learning and you can speak. Another thing, people in the countryside here have a thicker, different accent. When people talk about Spanish in Colombia, it is the most neutral dialect. However, with that said, once you get to certain places like the coast or the camp, like the countryside, the accents are different. They use different words, different slang, and it's a little bit more thick. So when I go to Medellin, I can understand a lot better. When I come back here, I have to kind of readjust my ear to how they speak here. Like my neighbors, sometimes I have to ask them to slow down, or they have to say it in a different way for me, because they just have certain words, which is normal. It's not a bad thing for me to ask them, what do you mean? at least I can, and they say, oh yeah, that's a slang. Well, they'll tell you, oh yeah, that's not a common word. But at least I have the knowledge to know, oh, okay, and then I learned a new word, or I learned something different. But it is, yeah, definitely a learning curve. So another thing, back to the instant gratification, we live about 20 minutes on the motorcycle to town. So we go into town once a week to buy our supplies, which traveling with all your groceries on a motorcycle is a bit of, it's a trek. It's an interesting experience. So we can also take the bus, but we have the motorcycle, so we use it. But getting everything you need at once, I have had to get used to it, because I've always lived somewhere where I can just go out somewhere 5 minutes away, walk here, walk there, get a coffee, get a this, get a that. No. If we don't have it, we don't have it. And we have to wait till we go into town, which I can go anytime I want. That's another thing. It's easy to get into town. However, it is not like I get in my car and drive. It is like I have to walk down the street, I have to hitchhike, or I have to take the bus, and I have to hope someone or something is coming by that I can hitch. Which I've done that before, and it's easy. I could also walk. It would take me about an hour and a half to walk, but someone usually picks me up. One day I wanted to walk, and a guy picked me up, and he said, no, vamos, vamos, vamos. So he like was not letting me walk. So I got on his motorcycle and he took me into town, which was fine. And it was much better than me walking, because I was already dripping sweat, because it is really hot here. Once you get out of the mountains where I'm at, not everything is going to be instantly available to you, including food, because that's living in the kind of in the middle of nowhere. Even in the US, you have to get used to that. You have to be more adaptable to your surroundings and be prepared. Like, oh, maybe on Wednesday I'm gonna want ice cream, so maybe I should buy ice cream, or maybe on Tuesday night I want this, buy that. And so that's what we do. We always have a lot of snacks. We always have like everything we could possibly want in our house, because we just have to. And when we're out, we're like, oh my god, we need to go to the store, we need to go to the store. But usually we don't go for like 2 or 3 days. There is a little local tienda not too far from me, but they don't have a lot of stuff, and I don't go there too often. Occasionally I'll get a bag of chips from there. So they have like the basic like snack foods if you want. They have beer. My boyfriend buys beer there, but nothing crazy. So you just kind of get used to modifying your life to a more simplified life. For me, it has not been that difficult, I'm not gonna lie, because I've kind of been living this way since 2018 when I left the US, and I left the comforts of everything that I have known, and I lived out of a backpack for the past 4 years. I still live out of a backpack. I have things, but everything still fits in my backpack. So you just get used to like simplifying your life and not having to need so much stuff. And it also has helped me grow as a person, because I've had to speak to people who don't speak my language, I have to convey what I need in their language. So it pushes me outside of my comfort zone, where it's like all on me. I have to kind of be like, okay, get out of my like comfort zone in my introverted box and step up and be like, oh yeah, this is what I need. Can you slow down? And I have been really good at doing it. And I mean, this also leads to, you are the outsider, so everybody is gonna know. So everyone here, I'm the only gringa who lives in this neighborhood. Everybody knows who I am. They all know my name, which leads, so people will stop and talk to you all the time. So you have to kind of be okay with talking to people. And if someone wants to have a conversation, have a conversation. Don't be always in a hurry to get somewhere. Don't always be in a rush. I mean, I'm like never in a rush anymore, and if someone stops me and talks to me, I'll stop and talk to them, or I'll pet their dog. And you just have to kind of be more adaptable to living in an environment where you are the outsider. You are the thing that they might look at and be like, wow, or like stare at you more. And I mean, to me, I love it. I love talking to everybody, because the more I talk to people, the more I learn about their country, the more I learn about just like life in general, and the more Spanish I learn as well, because it forces me to talk to other people than just my boyfriend, who had the same normal conversations. This forces me to be like, what is that word? What is that? And like, I slowly learn new words, or how they speak, or so for me, I like it. I love it. But if you're used to having everything at your fingertips, if you're used to be able to go downstairs and getting a cup of coffee, if you're used to like having everything delivered to you, or having Rappi, this is not it. We don't have Rappi. Also, when I went into Medellin, I always have cash, because living here, you always need cash. And you always need cash also because, so when I go to the ATM, I get out as much as I possibly can. What? I always have cash, because one day I went to the ATM. There's only one ATM in town, so I always like to have a little bit extra just in case, and if I'm starting to run low, I will go get more, because the ATM doesn't always work. They said it was not their fault, but I used my card. That day I happened to be going to Medellin. I used my card in Medellin and it was fine. And I go to Medellin and my friend, we had to pay with a few things in cash, because I don't know, we went somewhere that didn't take it. She's like, I don't have cash, and I'm like, I always have cash. So I have just learned from living in a small town, always have cash, because you never know when you're gonna need it, and you never know if the ATM's gonna break. So never get down to zero, because you might need it. The people along the lines of people always talking to you, people also will stand outside your house and yell your name if they want you. So we have a lemon tree and an avocado tree, and we give them to people. So the little boy was sick next door, and the woman wanted some lemons so he could like she could make some like lemon drink or ginger lemon for him. And she came and she with her bucket and she stood out and yelled my name until I went outside. And if you're in the US, you might think, well, that is so rude. Why do they do that? But here in the countryside, it's normal. They don't come knock on your door, because everyone has a gate, and our gates are always locked. So they stand outside and they'll yell your name until they get your attention. And they know when you're home, because, I mean, my door is always open, so everyone knows I'm home. My lights are always on. But if we're not home, obviously they're not gonna see the moto. They're gonna know we're not there. And now, so everyone knows your name, and it helps you get to know your neighbors, because if they need something. But I also found myself doing it the other day. I went and brought my neighbor a squash, and I was out there yelling her name. So, and her door is open, but it's just cultural. It's just what you do. You go to the road and you yell their name when you want their attention. And yeah, it's a good way. It's just how I don't even have a. It's just how it is. Like, you just learn to adapt to how things are done in this environment. I'm not gonna come here and try to change their environment. I'm not gonna come here and not learn any Spanish, because I am a visitor in their country, especially in their barrio. Like, I am the outsider. Everyone here is from here. They lived here, they're born here. And then I come in and I am gonna adapt to the ways of that they live in this little community, because for me it is the respectful and right thing to do. So when you move to a small town, you need to kind of you're gonna be humbled a little bit, and you're gonna have to realize that you are not the most important person in the world. You blending into a community that you live in is going to be better for your soul than you being like, no, I do it this way. This is the only way. And if my electricity doesn't work, then I'm gonna go complain. You can go complain, they're not gonna do anything. That's another thing here, I love it. In the US, we can call them like, my electricity is not working, blah, 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 blah. Since I'm not here now, and we get so pissy and so angry. Here they will just say, okay, okay. And that's it. They're not gonna fix it. And that's just how it is. And that's something that you have to adapt to. But obviously, if you are living in a small town, you probably already know these things. But if you're thinking about living in a small town, these are some things that you do need to know, because it does happen. Oh, another thing, you're always gonna see people with their cows and their animals. And with that said, I'm gonna go, because there's some cows coming. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this helped. Don't forget to subscribe. See y'all later. Bye. Está bien, está bien. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Eric, está bien.